WrestleBuddy Podcast. All about wrestling. Subscribe and follow for more content.
Welcome, WrestleBuddies, to another episode of the WrestleBuddy Weekly Podcast. This week we've got a quadratic equation of four intelligible minds. I botched that really badly. Today with me.
The empty space.
Today with me, we've got my good friend Harold. Harold, how you doing?
Hey, it's me. It's TRC. You can find me at WrestleBuddy.com or my own personal Twitter at the RevCupid61. Peace and love. Pass it on and keep rocking, everybody.
And passing it on over to Joe. How you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How's everyone doing? You can follow me on Twitter at JKEmptySpace, and I'm still slugging away on the article you've voted for Slammiversary on Rosemary. It will be done. It will be done, guys. It's just a huge task and a lot bigger than I expected. But then I forgot she'd been with Impact Wrestling for coming over 6 years. So, and there's a lot of his history dug up that I've completely forgotten about. So it's like topics of interest that even I'd forgotten. So it's more stuff than you guys would think to cover. So I'll pass you guys over to Griffin.
Hello, you marks. I'm following me on at GriffinK1 and I write over at WrestleBuddy.com.
And I'm Matty Laws. You guys can also follow me at WrestleBuddy.com and at Twitter at Matthew_Laws_. And boy, did we have one hell of a week. We had Impact's Homecoming. We had a meh episode of Raw. Sasha Banks returned. Let's dive into the week. We're going to start off with Raw. Like I said earlier, there wasn't too much to talk about. Bobby Lashley crushed Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin in a handicap match. Reginald defended his 24/7 title against R-Truth. And Raw was not the best show this week, guys. Bobby Lashley shrugged off Goldberg's challenge at SummerSlam. Does anybody have anything to add to this week's Raw?
Well, just generally, I think Bobby Lashley squashing two guys doesn't really make either of them look that good, because Lashley's just destroyed two people who haven't booked really at all. And also, the duo, if they're not going to win, it just makes them look even weaker. That's not a great look. But I did notice that the Reginald R-Truth match is significantly the most viewed match on YouTube this week from Raw. So I don't know if that shows interest in Reginald or the championship scene, but I can't really care. It's the same thing for the last 2 years. They've not changed at all. The rules just seem haphazard at best. Raw was okay for the last few weeks. It's improved, certainly. But this week's was, it's not a good show. It's significantly the worst show. By a country mile, it's just the worst.
And lest we forget, Charlotte beat the Raw Women's Champion clean.
Yes.
In a non-title match.
Champions.
Contenders match, yes. A rematch.
I'm sorry, Nikki Cross.
It's confusing because are they trying to turn Charlotte face? I hope they're not, but they seem to be very insistent on doing so.
I hope not. Anybody else have anything to add on this week's Raw?
No, the 24/7 time match. One of the entrants in the match, his entrance, he's jumping into the ring. That was trending on Twitter, so I think that's probably the biggest highlight from Raw that came across to me.
Let us.
What about?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Harold. Go ahead.
Let's not forget about the Punjabi prison match, which I think has already been overdone anyway, but it's okay. It always
think
seems
with
to
Punjabi
be
prison,
with
it's a match
Jinder Mahal. That's what, like, why?
I think it's a match concept that could work, but Dewey's overbooking of the match concept itself, just the confusing time limits, and then 2 cages. It could work on paper. They don't manage to make it work yet. Let's just hope this time they can make it work.
At least make it entertaining.
Well, if they want to do that, bring back Great Khali for another shot.
There won't be any things full of cages this time, so that's a shame.
Quick, we've got fans back. We've got a bunch of gimmick matches in the hole. What do we got? Let's go with the
Behind the
Punjabi
scenes.
prison.
Let's welcome all the fans by pissing them off.
It'd be better off sitting at home than in Punjab prison. They can't see through it.
No, they're going to need some sort of drone in there, aren't they, to film it all?
Oh no. That's probably exactly what they're gonna do. Just have an aerial shot over it the most part. Oh no. Up next is NXT. We had a really good show of NXT this week. At least I thought. Harold, what did you think about NXT?
Number one, they don't pay me to think. And number two, all in all, I thought NXT was great.
With matches like Carmelo Hayes against Josh Briggs.
and the turn against Raquel Waltz too.
I'm so excited for Dakota. I really hope she wins the title.
Yeah.
Seeing
agreed.
her with that women's gold was beautiful.
She deserves it. She's been there long enough. I mean, she's worked for it. She's earned it.
And everything with her versus Shayna Baszler at the
Yes.
beginning, the injury, coming back, and finally working her way up to this level is come first full circle, and I really hope that Dakota Kai wins.
It's time for her. It's her time.
Samoa Joe's back. Samoa Joe.
That's no surprise. I mean,
Samoa Joe quit as Regal's bodyguard and has signed a contract as an active performer under the NXT roster.
Oh, good luck to him.
I'm beyond excited for this because he also signed a contract for the NXT title match at NXT TakeOver 36.
Oh, we know who's going to win now, don't we?
Oh, we know who's going to win.
Talking of people making their sort of return or first appearances, we had this week Ridge Holland showing his first real dominance, I guess, considering his half run was cut short due to injury, as he aligns himself with Dunn and Oli Lorcan, who faced, of course, Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher this week. Just don't remember his name.
That was a very good match, too.
Ridge Holland, he could be their next... I don't think he will be their next big star, but I think he has potential to be. No, once Karrion Kross goes, they sort of need another sort of big monster, I guess, as a heel. And I think Ridge Holland could fit the mold pretty well.
We also got announced that Johnny Gargano versus Dexter Lumis in a Love It or Leave It match for Indy Hartwell's heart. No pun intended. If Dexter Lumis beats Johnny Gargano next week, Dexter Lumis is allowed into the Gargano family? Is that what I was to take away from that?
I think so. I think that's the story.
It's kind of confusing there.
Yeah. Angry Dad lets Sinister Stun into a group.
And Austin Theory was away from TV for unknown reasons. We also had a great series of vignettes with Cameron Grimes and LA Knight on a golf course. And I didn't think golf could be funnier than Happy Gilmore.
You seem to be getting the 24/7 Championship, Jinder Mahal, R-Truth golf course storyline. Also, this week we saw the main event of Bronson Reed versus Adam Cole, which was strangely one-sided, I thought, Adam Cole. I mean, Bronson Reed didn't necessarily need to win, but it does feel like they're trying to juggle plates for Adam Cole, trying to find something for him to do next. It feels like since he's lost the belt, they're still trying to find what they can do with him now in NXT.
I'm on the main roster.
Yeah.
I'd see Adam Cole main roster ready very soon.
Yeah.
And with Bronson Reed losing here, I think he's main roster bound as soon as the Raw after SummerSlam.
Just another one of the victims to Jeff Hardy's famous undefeated streak.
I swear to God. Don't do my boys dirty like this. Well, anybody else have anything to add on to NXT this week? Alrighty. On to AEW. Griffin?
Yep. I'll tell you about AEW then. Of course, the first match of the night was the long-awaited pay-per-view calendar 10-man tag pitting the Dark Order against the Elite. Now, in the end, spoiler alert, because you're watching a review show, what do you expect, really? That Dark Order, of course, would not get the win. In the end, Omega would pin Page when Page was down 3-1 to the Bucks and Omega. It's a mixed reaction online. A lot of people are angry about this. I don't know why. Page certainly will be a top guy at some date, hopefully, at least. But it's just, they're not doing it now, but they'll definitely do it in a future date where they can stretch out the story, make it a little bit longer. There are a lot of reasons speculated for why Page might have lost. For example, a lot of people pointing out they just had a newborn child, I believe, which is one of the speculative reasons. Also, because people may think, oh, the new signings, the alleged new signings of CM Punk and Dan Bryan may feed into this scenario. But what I really think is happening, I think it's just going to hold it off. I think all they're doing is just holding it off, letting it breathe a little more, so they can, much better feel-good moment when Adam Page wins. But this week, Adam Page did feel like a true star in this match. Anybody else got any other comments?
What they seem to be doing with Adam Page is what impacts him with Kenny Omega as champion. They're keeping him in that position as long as possible. So like you said, when it pays off and Adam Page becomes champion next, because I think he's going to be the next AEW World Champion. It's going to be worth waiting for, rather than rush it ahead of fans' expectations. It's to keep fans wanting more of it. But people are just too impatient. People have seen like the same thing for so long, and people just want what they want here now. Nobody's willing to just wait and see what happens.
Also, the payoff should be good enough. I hope it's not like they did with Bayley and Sasha. Well, maybe it could be like that, but it's not going to be like Bayley and Sasha where they have like 8 months of builds for a month of feuding, is it?
Yeah, that's the other thing, Austin. We had something a similar when Fire and Flavor won the tag team champions off of Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering so soon. Everyone was really excited to see Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering with tag team champions, and then they lost it. They pretty much the next about 2 or 3 days later or something. So it was like all that massive momentum. This is going to be great. There's going to be a storyline coming forward with this. We're going to have a story rivalry, and then it just dissipated into nothing. And then we had the back and forth of what are they going to do with Rachel Ellering and Jordan Grace, and it's sort of fizzled out into, oh, they're a solid unit after all that. So AEW's got to be careful not to leave it for too long or make it too confusing. I think they're doing the right thing at the moment. I think Adam Page is going to be next to take this belt. No doubt about it. It's just a matter of when.
Oh yes, you continue. I was going to say that elsewhere in the night, we also had the FTR versus Santana Ortiz blow off to the Pinnacle versus Inner Circle feud. That's the tag team blow off. I don't presume the whole feud is going to culminate anytime soon. Still got the Labels of Jericho, which we'll come on later. A lot of people saying that Santana and Ortiz deserve better in AEW. I can see that. I mean, they're, of course, huge in Impact, and of course, their jump to AEW has not been booked the strongest, but I think FTR were right to win this match. FTR are a very protected team. They've only lost once in a tag action. Of course, they lost to the Young Bucks for the tag titles. I think FTR are right to win. But that might be me.
I mean, FTR is definitely the right team to win there. If the Young Bucks are to drop the titles to a transitional tag team, I think FTR should be the people to pick it right off of them.
Elsewhere on the card, we of course saw the New Japan, well, IWGP US title defended as Lance Archer took on Somebody help me with this name, please. Thank you. Hikuleo, that's what I was saying. And he was accompanied by Haku, which I'm sure scared a lot of people, because Haku, as we all know, is tough as nails, son.
I got a big pop from Haku there.
Lance Archer, of course, defended his title on AEW, and then it was announced beforehand, actually, that the winner of the match would take on New Japan Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Go Ace.
It's a pretty big deal. It's probably their biggest Japanese star so far. They've had Kenta, but I think Tanahashi, big time name in Japan.
Huge.
It's a huge name.
Huge.
And then in our main event, of course, we saw former GCW World Champion Nick Gage taking on Chris Jericho in the second labor of Jericho, where, of course, your wrestler in the 5 matches get a match with MJF. God, there was a lot of blood in this one. But then again, Nick Gage was in it, so I mean, what do you expect, really? I'll let Matt speak in a minute, but I also want to bring up the advertising controversy, as of course, before we cut the break, Nick Gage slicing Jericho's head open with a pizza cutter, and then the Domino's ad plays on the side during commercial breaks.
Great marketing.
Love the coincidental ad placement.
When I first saw it, I thought it was a nod to Sammy Callahan and Kenny Omega at Slammiversary.
If the next Domino's ad isn't somebody scraping their head with a pizza cutter, then they've missed out huge time.
Nick Gage and a pizza cutter is one of my favorite duos in the entirety of pro wrestling right now.
And of course, after the match, which was won by Jericho, in a gory match with glass, pizza cutters, pretty much anything you can imagine, that is pretty hardcore. It was announced by MJF that Jericho must win next week's match with a top rope move. And who's his opponent? Old WCW foe, who he unmasked himself, Jericho. Juventud Guerrera. I'll let you discuss now.
They gave that away. So MJF himself gave it away when he said top rope, okay? Then he mentioned the feud Jericho had with Juventud in ECW. So it was just a dead giveaway. There was really no surprise with that.
I'm so excited for Juventud Guerrera. That is, I really hope that they still kept the chemistry that they had almost 20 years ago.
Agreed.
Also, a lot of history there from WCW. As I've already mentioned, Jericho unmasked Juventud, 1997 or 8. I can't remember. But either way, a lot of history there. And of course, Juventud, even now, in his 50s, maybe? Might be in his 40s, yeah. Either way,
I'll get back to you on that one.
He can still go because he wrestled, wrestling within recent years, especially one I remember is him versus Rey Mysterio in What Culture Pro Wrestling's World Cup Series for Mexico. He can still go.
Juventud Guerrera is 46 years old currently. So he's definitely in the age area that
that's
he can
that's
still
no older
go.
than Chris Jericho.
Yeah, they both can still go. So this match should be
Jericho's
very
50, so I mean, take a look.
Yeah,
right?
I'm just trying to think. What
Great.
Jericho's not done any high flying offensive moves off the top rope for God knows how long. So I'm just trying to think what's he going to pull off?
He hit a Hurricane Runner on Sean Spears, I think 2 weeks ago, and he hit Hurricane Runner on Nick Gage through
He
a
hit
pin of
one on
glass.
Nick Gage through.
Yeah, I think MJF's going to want to do something like a splash or something like that. The last time Jericho did something like that, to my knowledge, was he tried to do a shooting star press back in WCW and he broke his wrist. That was like the last time he ever went for a top rope finishing move.
Oh yeah, and he nearly landed on his face from a move with it was against Gedo or somebody, and he broke his neck or whatever.
Yeah,
He's got a big rich history of top rope moves. Yeah, he broke his wrist on when he arrived in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I think on day one he broke his wrist, as you're talking about, from a moonsault. And I would like to see him do that move there. I always see on video games, but I never seen him in real life. It's that top rope code breaker.
yeah.
Always looks. But then again, realistically, it's not going to look very effective. By just standing there, ready to take your code breaker.
I think Bushi in New Japan does it, so it's able to be done. I think Jericho could do it.
Yeah, I think Drake does it. Not the Canadian hip hop artist, but the wrestler. And I think we can now. Any more comments on AEW this week?
Next week's show should actually be really good. And announcing the first dance the Friday before SummerSlam in the United Center, so that should be a big show as well.
Oh yeah, and of course it's just nice to see Thunder Rosa back on Dynamite. Now she's officially signed for AEW.
Huge signing for AEW. I'm as an Impact fan, I'm glad that Thunder Rosa at least has got somewhere to go. I'm disappointed it's not in Impact Wrestling, but I had expected that AEW would be the place she would be going to. She
has wrestled elsewhere under contract. You know, she's been in AEW, NWA, Impact, everywhere.
There's no saying she's not going to come back to Impact Wrestling and wrestle there in the future, because there's still a chance she's going to go to NWA and wrestle up the Empire pay-per-view at Mickey James' setup too. So, but the fact that she's now got an official contract with AEW, I think is fantastic. You know, she made a hell of a good showing at AEW when she was there. So it's good to see she's finally got somewhere to say, I'm working with these guys now. And she can spread out and do a bit more now. She's got a bit more freedom at AEW than she did at NWA. So that's the main thing. So she's on the next building block in a career. So it's just good to see some that she's got a direction to go to now.
Anyway, talking of Impact, what a transition. We'll now move over to Joe, who'll talk a little bit about Impact and we can add our comments.
Okay, well, I'll start give you guys a quick roundup of what happened this week, because we've got Homecoming happened on Saturday. This week we had the debut of Jay White with Chris Bay versus the Good Brothers kicking off the show. Now, what were your guys' reaction to Jay White coming to Impact Wrestling? I want to know.
For months, it had been speculated. I wasn't really sure he would. I wasn't sure. I thought he'd stay in Japan. He might still, obviously. He might just jump back there as soon as Angle's over. But I'm not sure about this match, because either way, you're either making your tag champions lose their first, maybe not their first match, but you're letting the tag champions lose, and also you're making all Jay White losers. So it's kind of a lose-lose.
Oh yeah, the payoff in this match was it was all about to get Chris Bay into the Bullet Club. And while Jay White and Chris Bay did lose the match to the Good Brothers, Jay White's reason for being there, he's after David Finlay, and David Finlay's challenging him for his title soon. So in a way for Chris Bay to get a second chance to join the Bullet Club was later on revealed during the night, where after the Finjuice had their match with Falaba and No Way Jose, or No Way as he's now called, versus Caleb with the K. No, I'm not sorry. Versus Rohit Raju and Shira and Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. After Finjuice and I'd walked away with the victory, they were attacked backstage by the Switchblade and by Chris Bay, and they had a hell of a beatdown delivered onto them too. So it looks like Chris Bay is indeed inducted into this new version of the Bullet Club, which is quite exciting. What your thoughts on Chris Bay? Have you got any thoughts on Chris Bay?
I'm very excited to see Chris Bay join the Bullet Club. Like I was talking with my little brother, I would love to see him and El Phantasmo team up, or him and Taiji Ishimori team up at least once. I think he could actually join them in the Junior Tag League, and that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think it's cementing that broken bridge between New Japan Wrestling and Impact Wrestling, I think. And, for them to extend the arm to Chris Bay, who's done a bit of work in Japan, I think it's a great opportunity for him so early in his career. And it's great to see Impact Wrestling is willing to gamble all this rather than take. They're willing to take the gamble and say, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. And hopefully, not sure what the plans are for Chris Bay next week, but it's just an amazing talking point as it stands now. We also had Dino and Rhino versus Swan and Willie Mack, and of course this match would end with a victory for Swan and Willie Mack, leading to a match coming at Homecoming, which I'll be discussing a bit more later on. But Violent by Design didn't take this defeat in high spirits as you'd expect, and Eric Young issued a very, very, very intimidating promo to follow. You guys been following the Swan and Mac Violent by Design? Do you think is what I want to know your thoughts on the Good Brothers beating Violent by Design for the tag titles? What's your reaction to that? I was bitterly disappointed. I must admit.
Didn't like it.
Yeah.
Did not like it. I think Violent by Design should have held it at least a little bit longer.
Yeah, it feels like it's more of a ploy for the Omega storyline rather than a genuine tag win, which always sort of dampens it a little bit. I feel like they're not really treated like titles if they're being used in that way. So I'm not too interested in it.
No, the best thing is that Eric Young has stated that they will use their rematch clause. They're just not going to do it now. Right now, their focus is taking out Willie Mack and Rich Swann, who they blame for their loss in the match. So, Violent by Design might be challenging the Good Brothers. They might be challenging Finji, so I think they're going to win the titles off of them. I think we're going to get like history repeating itself. Finji's are going to get one over on the Good Brothers again. But it's a hit and miss relationship with the tag division again from Impact Wrestling. They have a lot of inconsistency still with the tag division, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, I must admit. The match with Willie Mack and Rich Swann was awesome, and it set up the surprise match we got for Homecoming between Dino and Willie Mack as well. That was completely out of the blue, so it set that up for a really interesting talking point a bit later on. We also had the return of Taylor Wilde after she made her appearance at Summerversary. She finally returned to the ring. She took on Caleb with the K, scoring the victory, of course, in a pretty impressive vintage gender match. Nothing huge, nothing controversial, nothing to it was just a great fun match to go into the night with. And to end the night this week, we had Moose getting his rematch with Chris Sabin, and this time the odds would be in Moose's favor. Moose would absolutely destroy Chris Sabin, and unfortunately for Sabin, he wouldn't get the win tonight. But the night didn't end with just these matches. We got a few big talking points from there. We found out what's happened to Kimberly now. So we know that Kimberly was taken by James Mitchell and Sue Young. Kimberly is now transformed into something else, and we got given a pretty intimidating introduction this week. Any reaction to that? Did you guys see it?
I have yet to see it. I've been actually looking forward to looking at that, and I just have not had the chance to.
It sent chills down my spine. I must admit, I've really great work from Su Young and the production team and actually getting this to work, because I had no idea what they were going to do with Kimberly. I thought that she was gone for a little while, but then I thought no, their contract's not over yet, so that's just stupid thinking. But it honestly it is it's a great, very short, very to the point promo, and it's really good. Frankie Kazarian made his return this week as well, and he'll be in a match next week against Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers with Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. What's your thoughts on Frankie Kazarian just making a return to Impact Wrestling after such a long time?
Impact really like their 6-man tags, don't they?
Yes, that seems to be a niggling thing. Yes.
Yeah. I like Kazarian. I think it'd be hard pressed when somebody doesn't like Kazarian. His in-ring work has been some of the greatest for the past decade and a half. I feel like in AEW he is probably the most underrated worker there. He's been a tag champion, but he's not been a huge star, but he's one of the, I would say, pound for pound, one of the biggest wrestlers AEW have for his veteran skills, all of that, and him back in Impact. I mean, if they book him properly, this could be a really great run for Kazarian.
Yeah, it's a win-win for all sides, really.
Yeah, Kazarian versus Omega is actually going to probably be one of the best matches.
Yeah, the elite hunter gimmick's good. I mean, I don't know how it'll last long term, because of course the elite won't be around forever. But growing out the new beard for the gimmick, elite hunter, good stuff.
It makes me laugh every time I see him attack someone.
You kids, get off my property!
Just rips the hoodie off like we don't know who he is.
His embarrassing teenage sons. Stop doing it with your hands. Get down here.
And in a couple of weeks' time, we've got a battle royal coming up for the next Impact Plus special in August for Emergence. We've got in 2 weeks' time, we've got a battle royal coming up for the #1 contendership match. That was announced this week too. So Moose getting the one over on Chris Sabin this week seems to be setting up that he's probably the favourite to go forward and win the #1 contendership. But what I'm hoping to see from that is Chris Sabin goes on to win it and be the one to face Kenny Omega at Emergence. So then it'll build Moose up going to face Kenny Omega at Bound for Glory, where we will hopefully see Omega lose the title to Moose.
Yeah, well, it's probably safe to say that I don't think Omega's belt's in any real jeopardy on the next pay-per-view. He's holding off that belt for much longer, I think.
No. That's pretty much all the weekly stuff. We got obviously there was some build up to Homecoming, but Homecoming will be covered a bit later on when we've done the rest of the week. So we'll move on to Thursday. I was Thursday. We'll move on to Friday. Sorry.
We are moving on to SmackDown this week, which we've got a couple big talking points. First off, we've got Sasha Banks making her big return in a very confusing way, helping Bianca Belair out, picking her up, and giving her the biggest hug, but setting up a tag team match between her and Bianca and Zelina Vega and Carmella.
I really hope the new gimmick is woman with amnesia.
I forgot what happened just a few months ago. Give me a hug.
Oh no, I have attacked my friend.
Throughout the night, we had Cena trying to get Roman's attention. This drew out Baron Corbin and his sad Corbin gimmick. Corbin goes to the ring and begs Cena, and in his way, nicely asks for some money from Cena.
Yeah, he used to be Mr. Money in the Bank, and now he's broke. So that's full circle, I guess.
The part about that I died with was Cena's like, "Who are you? Wait a second, Baron?" It genuinely made me laugh. I don't laugh too much with wrestling these days, but that one gave me a chuckle.
Big time.
We had Rey Mysterio versus Jimmy Uso in a one-on-one match. This was a pretty good match. These guys have pretty good chemistry. What are you guys' thoughts on this whole Usos versus Mysterio storyline?
We'll get some good matches out of it, I guess. I don't care for it a whole lot, to be honest. But there'll be some good matches, so I guess I can't really complain.
Yeah, it seems to be a good way to put the Usos over. Finally, I know the Usos have had a decent spotlight in the past couple of sessions of SmackDown and that. But back when I was watching, I was dying to see the Usos really get some headlight. Well, we had the New Day dominating the tag team division. I was chomping up the bit, waiting for the Usos to get their time to really shine. So it's good to see them finally getting it now. And Rey Mysterio is a great guy to work with. So I think it's quite good booking from WWE to get it done this way. I just hope it doesn't damage Dominic Mysterio's future for too much. But Jimmy and Jey Uso are fantastic wrestlers, and it's interesting, but it's not grabbed my attention too much to tune in regularly, sadly. But just knowing that they're doing something with them now is good to know. It's good to like check the highlights out and see what's happened.
And Harold, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, we all know Ray's getting ready to pass the torch anyway. I mean, it's probably his last contract. I'm just wondering who he's going to be passing the torch soon. Not soon, but to. I can't see it being Dominic at this time. I think if he's going to pass the torch, he's going to pass it to one of the Usos.
I can totally see that.
I'm not saying that his son doesn't have any talent, by the way.
Yeah, it just seems too obvious.
Yeah. And this would make for a better turn for Dominic, because I think the original idea for this was Dominic turns on Rey. So I think this would be a perfect setup for that.
Pass the torch to Corbin. He just wants money.
Pass the torch with a couple $20 bills just taped around it.
Make sure they're not burning, though.
And moving on to something that's not going to make us laugh too much. We got Reginald versus Otis. Scratch that. Chad Gable. We have Reginald making his entrance into the ring. We've got Otis in the ring. And then he goes, "You're not facing me. You're going to face him." And then just leaves. And quickly comes back in to disqualify the match.
When did Stretch Armstrong become a wrestler?
Oh my lord!
Man, Reginald, he doesn't wrestle. He doesn't really. He just does. I'm going to sound like Jim Cornette here. It's just flips.
But he used to work in Cirque du Soleil, though.
So does Mason Ryan. This is Mason Ryan hitting too many Hurricane Runners.
Yeah.
But yes, a 24/7 title match ended in a disqualification.
Wow.
Baffling.
The hardcore spirit's alive.
I thought there was no rules with the 24/7 title, but now all of a sudden there's no disqualification. I mean, there's disqualification. I mean, come on. That's what the 24/7 title was built on.
Yeah, I genuinely, that hurt me.
For the contrast, Nick Gage is slicing a guy open with a pizza cutter and smashing through glass. Otis attacks the guy in a no DQ match, gets disqualified.
I don't want to talk about ending matches in disqualification. Rhea Ripley lost by disqualification for flinging a piece of cardboard at Charlotte.
Yeah, Seth Rollins the Fiend.
Oh, wow.
In a moving on. We then have the contract signing for the Universal Championship between Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. Before this starts, we have Paul Heyman arrange the table so that Roman is sitting at the head of it because head of the
Paul
table.
Yeah.
Hey, brother.
And during this, we've got Roman come out, of course, first sit at the head of the table. We got Finn come out. And then all hell breaks loose. And in a shocking turn of events, which I'm pretty sure legal experts can verify for this, Cena swoops in, picks up the contract, and signs the contract.
Firstly, Finn Balor. What villain Finn Balor? What are we doing? Come on, Finn. Secondly, that contract definitely has the name Finn Balor in it multiple times, right? So Cena just signed. So Cena's signed a contract for Finn Balor, like he's some kind of attorney.
Cena just hopped in here and was like, "Oh, my name's not here." Scribbled out Finn Balor and just wrote John Cena.
Well, then nobody can see Cena, so
switches out Finn Balor's pens for crayons. And Cena signs it himself.
What are your guys' thoughts on how this all turned out, and Cena versus Roman being the supposed main event for SummerSlam?
They need
booking.
They need to.
They need to
make it a bit more clear how it's actually going to come about, because it's really confusing.
What is your feelings on this, Harold?
My question is, why pull that stunt a couple of weeks before SummerSlam? Everybody knows already Cena's not going to win it. Okay, number one.
Yeah.
Although it may be a great setup for a WrestleMania match between one of the Usos and Roman Reigns against The Rock and one of the Usos. That's the only thing good that I can see coming out of this at this point.
We don't think Cena's going to win, but they do like making records, and Cena is a joint 16-time world champion.
Yeah.
Would you put
and
it
he
past
does not want to break that. He does not want to break that. He said that.
Yeah,
himself.
no, he doesn't. Plus, we all know Ric Flair technically like a 23-time world champion, so Ric Flair still holds the record and probably will forever.
And your feelings, Griffin, about how everything turned out and why we are here?
It makes sense as a main event. Obviously, it makes sense as a main event. Two huge names, both in doing and outside of the WWE, but they've booked it such a weird. Why is it? The feud so far has been contract misinformation and sex. Why is that the feud?
Seems like
the feud should be. I challenge you for the world title. It shouldn't be contracts and what.
I feel like Cena's still feuding with 2017 Roman, and is confused as to why he's in this year repeating 2017.
Shut up, you big dog.
Roman himself said he's going back. He's seeing a 2005 John Cena. I mean, maybe he's got a point.
And I would say that is our week in wrestling. But yesterday, as we record today, is Sunday. Yesterday, we got hit with the news that Bray Wyatt has been released by the WWE. I want your guys' immediate reactions on this.
I'm gutted. I'm really, really gutted for him. I wasn't a huge Bray Wyatt fan, but he was a workhorse, and he was one of his guys. Like John Moxley, he would take a role that he was given and he would run with it and make it his own. And he busted his ass basically trying to rebuild himself after the whole Wyatt family broke down the second time. And he did a pretty good job of it, from all the stuff he did with The Undertaker and then Randy Orton, and whatever the reasons are for him being released. all I can say is I wish him the best of luck in the future, and hopefully he's not. It's not. People are saying it's something to do with his mental health, or he's had, which I really hope it's not. I really hope it. Or if it is, I hope he gets over it and he's just going to be okay. That's all I can really say. I don't want to jump into the negative, all the huge negative sides that we should be booked better. He should be doing this. He should be doing that. They should have done this. I just hope he's going to be okay. And I think it's a huge loss for the WWE after losing Braun Strowman as well earlier this year. And now they've lost Bray Wyatt. I think it's just it's a shame that it's had to happen, and I just hope this is the last big loss of the company now for a while.
Yeah, although he did lose some momentum at different points, because how he was booked 2 years ago. He was the biggest star around SummerSlam time. 1 year ago, he was probably about the biggest star then from his Papa Funhouse.
Yeah,
He managed to regain such momentum surprisingly fast. Of course, we can always say it wasn't, his booking wasn't always great, and it wasn't, even as just Bray Wyatt, his booking was never that great. But he was a creative mind, and if you've seen that tweet by Mickey James, you'll know that she's obviously annoyed at it. Everybody's sort of backing Bray on this. You can see why. He's great value, no matter what role he's in.
exactly. They could have him in a managerial role or something like that, and he could work wonders.
My opinion, I think it's they did a play on words, number one. Okay, they didn't fire the Fiend Bray Wyatt, they fired Bray Wyatt. So therefore, that makes me think that, okay, maybe they're both playing an angle here. Let's face it, WWE and some of the wrestlers are well known for this. So that's because if you're going to fire somebody, you're going to fire the Fiend, not just da. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he didn't fire the Fiend Bray Wyatt.
He just fired Bray Wyatt.
Okay, number one. Okay, that leaves the Fiend. Okay, they didn't say anything about the Fiend being fired. Number two. And
oh man, I really hope they let Bronson Reed come out next week in the Fiend mask. Full feet. This is the Fiend. This is how you know him. He's been here the whole time.
It was me all along.
I've realised now. All members of the White family. No longer going to be.
We will replace a near 300-pound white man with an over 350-pound Samoan.
What? He's always been Australian.
He's been Australian.
And then, yeah, all members of the White family are now gone. Isn't that such a weird thing to think?
Yeah.
Braun, Eric, Harper, Bray, all gone.
You forgot Strowman. Oh, no, Strowman's gone too. But chances are, from what I understand, they may be re-signing Braun Strowman, even though he's quote-unquote, like they said, 2 years past his prime. There's talk about that going about too. But as far as the Bray Wyatt thing, I think it's just a play on words, number one. I think it's going to generate more interest from the public. And I think it's a play on words. And they're playing an angle. They are playing an angle. That's all.
And one more thing I wanted to bring up before we end all this is apparently there's been a lot of hate thrown towards Alexa Bliss because she's made all of her accounts private on Instagram, Twitter. All of those are now private. And I just want to say that in situations like this, don't go after other people that are just doing their gimmick. They're just doing their job. And I really hope that Alexa Bliss is doing okay. The hate and anger that's been spewed towards her has been so unjustified.
People who are blaming Alexa for this, I think, should reflect. If you're sort of somebody who's threatening wrestlers for something that they've not done, you should really take a look at yourself.
Yeah,
think about what you're doing.
That's all I can say to him.
Okay, look, I know you're not going to like this, Cornette fans, but at the end of the day, right? Yeah, you might want to know this, but wrestling, it's predetermined, right? It's not actually real. So that means people have separate wrestling lives and real lives. So don't go off their private lives, please.
Yeah.
She's doing what she's told to do. She didn't come up with this character. They come up with this character.
If she wasn't on his own to
pulled it
fire
off.
break,
And she pulled it off to such an extent, people actually believe her.
people take wrestling too seriously. That's the takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Fans can be over the top, and a lot of the time, it's not good. They're just negative for the sake of being negative, taking it to wrestlers when there's no reason to. Take a look at yourselves. Take a look at what you're doing. Don't do that.
She had
Don't
nothing
do
to
that.
do
Come
with
on.
Bray Wyatt's release. And I agree
Absolutely.
with it. She had nothing to do with that.
The
That
character
wasn't
and the
his release.
person are different.
He asked for his release, number one. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that. He asked for that release. So don't go around blaming somebody else when he asked for the release himself.
Two sides.
Don't
The
go
wrestler,
around blaming Alexa Bliss. She didn't cause this. He asked for it. People might want to
wrestler
pick up on that fact.
and the person. You know, the wrestler and the person, two completely
Right.
separate, different entities.
Exactly.
Well, look at Kylie Ray. The same thing with Kylie Ray. When
Oh.
150%.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
yeah, it's the same thing with Kylie Ray. When she had to step back from wrestling, a lot of people blew up and got all fucking shitty and asked about all that. And you know, if Bray Wyatt's gone for mental health reasons, or just because he wants to get some personal issue in his life sorted out, you know, and Alexa Bliss has just happened to have changed her account at the same time. Don't put two and two together when you've got nothing, because it's just you're just making up shit in your head, and you're just driving yourself up mad, and it's not right.
Exactly. I agree.
The
with
last
Matt.
thing I have to say on this matter is, hasn't Hana taught us anything? The situation with Hana
Yes.
Kimura, hasn't that taught us anything? This is sickening. It disappoints me.
Yeah,
Well,
you'd expect better from people.
to try to
That's
bring
why
us on a
it's
brighter
called
note,
sports entertainment. Keyword entertainment. Hello.
they're playing a character. They're not.
Exactly.
They're not out to ruin each other's careers like that.
It is a well choreographed event. That's what it is. And again, keyword sports entertainment. That's what it's there for.
Now, before we leave, I don't want us to leave on a sour note. I want us, if you guys have anything else from the wrestling world throughout the week, anything you guys want to promote throughout the next week or so before our next podcast,
Yeah, I do
guys,
have.
go ahead.
I do have the results from Homecoming that was on Saturday from Impact Wrestling.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a mini review of that for you. I literally just finished watching it about an hour or two before we'd come on too. We kicked off with Alicia Edwards and Hernandez versus Gianna Perazzo and the debuting Drama King Matthew Redwald. I can't pronounce his name.
Is it Raywald?
It's Raywald.
Yes,
At least
Raywald.
that's how I've heard it pronounced.
Yeah. Matt, yeah. Of course, Jenna Perazzo, Matt Raywald won, but it was a great way to kick off the night. It was a good, fun match from Alicia Edwards. Every time she's coming back into the ring, she's showing some improvement. I just wish she was booked a lot more frequently. But it was also a very entertaining match from Jenna Perazzo, and it was a very impressive debut from Matt Raywald.
And what a pairing as well.
Yes, the pairing. The only way I could have thought that this guy was going to be with Gianna Perazzo was Steve Macklin would have been too obvious, and his character and Gianna Perazzo's character just don't mix together. The fact that there's the Drama King coming in with the Virtuosa, when that happened, it was like, oh, fuck, now it makes sense. It's just like someone hits you in the head. It's like, oh yeah, that makes. And then the match to follow that, we got P.T. Williams and Jordan Grace taking on Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green. Highly entertaining match as well. P.T. Williams and Jordan Grace paying homage to Scott Steiner throughout the whole match. P.T. coming in as his Maple Leaf Muscle, and Jordan Grace
Little Petey Pump.
a little Petey Pump and Thick Mama Pump coming in. And this was another highly. This whole night was awesome. This is a highly entertaining match to really showcase the changing character from Matt Cardona since Chelsea Green has come in too. He's going more towards the GCW attitude he's got now, where he's a bit more arrogant, he's a bit more heelish, without going overboard like he is at GCW. But he's even Matt Striker pointed out very quickly that since Chelsea Green's come in, Matt Cardona isn't the same happy-go-lucky guy that he was when he first turned up at Impact Wrestling. And this match was another highly entertaining one. Obviously, Pete Williams and Jordan Grace didn't go through, but it wasn't disappointing to see the match end the way it did. We then got a really heavy promo from W. Morrissey, as you guys might remember. Really intimidating promo from W. Morrissey.
He's been doing amazing in Impact. I'm so proud of him.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah,
100%.
He's got an upcoming match on the night against Eddie Edwards in a hardcore match. After Morrissey beat Eddie Edwards at Summerversary by a chain around the knuckles and knocked him out, and then ran away from Eddie Edwards in the parking lot. So Eddie Edwards got him in a hardcore match. This promo was just again backing up that Morrissey's promo skills are top notch. He's not lost a beat when it comes to delivering on the mic or delivering to a camera.
7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's just gotten better and better, and so impressed with his work, and I'm so glad to see him on Impact Wrestling.
I have a question on Impact. Did Missy Hyatt make a return recently, or was that an old footage I had seen on Instagram this afternoon before we did the podcast? Actually,
this is where we come on to the next match. The next match was Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering paying homage to Paul Ellering, coming down as the Road Warriors, and Brian Myers needed a tag team partner because he didn't have a woman to tag with him after Neil Dashwood dumped him, or turned him down, shall we say? Didn't dump him. She turned him down to be his tag team partner at Homecoming, and so Brian Myers' student Sam Beale made some calls and did get Missy Hyatt to come to be his tag team partner.
Yeah,
but what Sam Beale didn't know was that Missy Wyatt is a WCW, ECW original legend, but she's never been a wrestler. She's only worked as a manager, and she made that clear from the start of the match that she can't wrestle. She's not going to wrestle. Brian Myers has left to carry this whole match in a really, really fun and really, really entertaining manner. Of course, Myers unfortunately came up short, losing to Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering via a Doomsday device, a nice fitting tribute to Rachel Ellering's father, and to the Road Warriors, which was just great to see. And moving on from that match, we got Violent by Design's promo. Eric Young really hammering home that Rich Swann and Willie Mack are the next guys that they got, and they set up a match between Dia and Willie Mack on the night, which was unannounced throughout the entire week. So this was kept under wraps really well. And after that promo, we move on to the last of the first opening tag team matches in this homecoming tournament, which was Rosemary and Crazy Steve versus the tag team of Fala Bar and Tasha Steelz. Now, Kiera Hogan has recently left Impact Wrestling, as you guys might know. So this is Tasha Steelz really breaking away into singles competition now. But we got a really impressive showing again from Crazy Steve and Rosemary as Decay. We got to see great tag team wrestling all around from all sides, and just a really fun and entertaining match. And after Fala Bar accidentally squashed Tasha Steelz into the turnbuckle and turned her into 3 different places, the match was won by Crazy Steve, and we then went on to a very rare chance to see Steve Macklin talking. He after Petey Williams' match. I forgot to mention this earlier. After Petey Williams lost the match against Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green, Steve Macklin hit Sammy. Steve Macklin had come out and attacked him and Steve Macklin is currently building his way up through the X division. Is he now made clear? And
Something else is
obviously,
being attacked right now.
yes, that's my dog. Sorry. Petey Williams, obviously the pioneer of the X division. So who better to go through first than the pioneer is Petey Williams. And so Steve Macklin has got his eyes on Josh Alexander. What are you guys' thoughts on that? What do you think Steve Macklin could beat Josh Alexander? Do you think he could?
I've been really excited to see how well Steve Macklin's been doing in Impact. We never really got the chance to see his work in WWE hardly ever.
Nope.
And I think Josh Alexander is going to bring out the absolute best Steve Macklin we may have ever seen.
But
I don't know if he'll win.
You have a question if it's too soon, you think, for Steve Macklin, considering how many other people are already in the X division, Ace Austin, countless others, obviously. List. You can make that argument if you want. I wouldn't mind seeing him facing Josh Alexander.
Yeah,
what's wrong with that?
Yeah. I've no doubt that Josh Alexander is probably should they face off now, Josh Alexander would definitely win. But Steve Macklin is currently going through guys like Trey Miguel, guys like Petey Williams. He's building himself up, and he's been having really solid matches on every appearance he's made on Impact Wrestling. And he's just gradually building himself. And he said himself, he's not here to jump straight to the title. He's here to build his way up the ladder to get. So he's here basically to attack Petey Williams as an extra step in the ladder. Really, excuse me.
Did Steve Macklin announce that he was challenging for the title, or did he just go up to Josh Alexander and be like, "I want you"?
But backstage, he was giving a promo to the camera. He was saying basically to the fans out there, asking thinking that he's got his sights set on the X Division title. And so it'd be if Josh Alexander's champion, if somebody else is champion, Steve Macklin's got his eyes on that belt and foot next. So it's good to see that Impact Wrestling is also still keeping the X Division title, the title to watch on the company right now, as we've got Kenny Omega as the world champion, so all eyes are going off of it anyway.
Yeah, give Alexander and Macklin 20 minutes. See what magic they can make.
We then
Macklin. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. You go on, Harold.
I think Steve Macklin. I mean, I think he's probably one of the most underrated wrestlers out there, and I think that I agree with whoever said that we weren't given enough time to see what he could do on WWE. I think it was you, Maddie. And how can people judge what they see if they don't see it? So,
exactly.
Steve Macklin, I think, is in a good position right now. He is building up. He is getting better. I think that a lot of people should give him more credit for his talent than what he's getting now. Because
he's really perfected that finishing move he's got now. Good. He's really perfected that finishing move he's using. He's really.
It makes me depressed how much he was wasted down. Like even in NXT, he didn't get used all that damn much. I think in under the WWE umbrella on TV, he had in low double digits amount of matches.
Yeah.
And that's depressing. He was with the company for a decade almost.
Wow, I didn't know that. I knew he was there for a while.
He was there for a long time.
Christ.
Very much underutilized. Very much so.
Very much.
So I can see why Deanna Praza was as soon as he'd and it was announced that he'd gone, Deanna Praza was saying just come to Impact Wrestling, and I can definitely see why now. And they've made him into a star already, and he's only been here less than 6 weeks or so.
And from the stories that we hear from other people that have been in NXT, they get to see those wrestlers do full hour-long matches
Yeah.
And like, if Steve Macklin is able to go an hour, fuck it. Give him and Josh Alexander the Iron Man treatment. That would be amazing if they can go. If they can go, let them go.
I think they should. I agree with that. I think they should. But I'm just an armchair wrestling fan. So I don't know anything, right? But yeah, like I can't believe how underrated Macklin is, man. It just blows my mind, man.
He just wasn't used. And I don't know why. I don't know why.
Maybe it's his name. I don't know.
Maybe it's his look. Maybe it's his talent, because he's got a hell of a lot of talent. And if we know Vince McMahon likes to protect his top talent, so someone with the
some of them might have gotten jealous and wanted him the hell out of there too.
Exactly. Someone with the ability like Steve Macklin he would upstage the majority of the top guys who have been there for the last 10 years.
I can see that.
Even guys like Brock Lesnar, he put them to shame. He's like,
his in-ring talent is very, very impressive. And again, so down about his not being used in NXT, WWE.
Oh, he
so great to see him being used in Impact.
Difference in NXT and the WWE. He could have if given the opportunity.
Okay, and moving on from Steve Macklin, we then did get the match between Willie Mack and Cody Deaner. Willie Mack, obviously accompanied by Rich Swann, and Cody Deaner accompanied to the ring by the rest of Violent by Design. This, for me, was one of the most impressive matches I've seen from Deaner in 2021, if not the entire roster on Impact Wrestling 2021. It was absolutely fantastic. It's been Deaner's best match in Impact Wrestling, and he's even said it himself to date. It was just so entertaining. You could not keep your eyes off of this match. Willie Mack is an awesome worker, as I'm pretty sure you all know.
Right.
Deaner is an amazing wrestler and a very underrated wrestler. But this match, it just really brought out the best in Deaner. And there's the dog just knocked the table. Even though the match wasn't won cleanly, but then Deaner's obviously playing a heel character, so you would, if he was to win this match cleanly, then it wouldn't make the statement Eric Young was trying to make, clear. Eric Young hit Willie Mack over the head with a flagpole and knocked him out, basically, and Deaner got the DDT and won the match. But, look, taking away all of this is how he won. The match itself was just fantastic, and if people want a reason to watch Impact Wrestling, or a place to start watching Impact Wrestling, I suggest taking a look at Homecoming and Slammiversary, because this match was awesome. And after this match, the rest of the night just got better and better and better as well. We had all like the opening matches for the Homecoming tag team tournament now, so we're into the semi-finals. But now that we got this big match with Deaner, it was awesome. And we then, of course, we then move on to Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green versus I'm going to get his name right at some point. Matt Rehwoldt and Deonna Purrazzo. Of course, Deonna Purrazzo won the match. Once again, Matt Rehwoldt getting the pin in this match, so he's now 2-0 in Impact Wrestling already on his first night on the job, and he's already 2-0. This match,
all right, Goldberg.
This match, yeah, this match was very entertaining as well. That's the one, Rehwoldt. This was really entertaining match too. A really good back and forth between all four competitors, and when we discussed this match last week elsewhere, my prediction was that Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green would go all the way. So my original pick to win the night was gone already, and I was really shocked by that, which just added to the excitement of the night to the whole event for me, so I was looking forward to seeing who was going to win, because I managed to keep my eyes off of Twitter and Facebook long enough to avoid as much spoilers as possible. We then, after that match, we then got the interview with Missy Hyatt explaining what actually happened in this match with Brian Myers. And Brian Myers comes down, interrupts her, starts shooting his mouth off. And Missy Hyatt runs down her resume of guys she's managed: Sting, Goldberg, the Nasty Boys, after Brian Myers then turns around to Sam Beal, gives him a dirty look and blames everything on him. Missy Hyatt gives Sam Beal a nice big kiss from a handbag across the chase. And then we got Crazy Steve and Rosemary versus Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering. Another highly entertaining match. And Crazy Steve and Rosemary, Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering all playing to the fans throughout this match. Really, really feeding off of the fans now that we've got live crowds again in Impact Wrestling and have been since anniversary.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to talk about this match, because I saw it might have been Twitter or Instagram something, where I saw the GIF of the match, which was the whole biting sequence.
Yes, that was awesome. We got it started off with Crazy Steve was biting Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer then bit Crazy Steve. Rosemary came in and bit Tommy Dreamer.
I think it's Dreamer. Yeah. Crazy Steve on Dreamer. Dreamer on
Rosemary. That's it.
Rosemary on.
I can't remember.
Jordan Grace started biting Steve, so it's like a big.
No, Jordan Grace wasn't in this match. It was Rachel Ellering.
Oh no, it was Rachel Ellering. Sorry,
Rachel Ellering. It was just a good laugh. This match was one of the great ways to really, really win the fans over. Remind the fans that welcome back to Impact Wrestling, guys. It was just so chaotic. The commentary was laughing throughout, or really into it too. It's just a good fun match. Eventually, Crazy Steve and Rosemary would pick up the win. And we would then get a promo from Eddie Edwards about his upcoming match with Morrissey. Alicia Edwards would come over to him and give him his good old friend Kenny the Kendo Stick and say to him, "You walk out this match and you walk out of it standing tall. You make sure you end it between you."
Very reminiscent of the Davey Richards rivalry as well.
Yeah. And following on from that, we then got what probably most will say is match of the night, and I have to agree. We got Black Taurus with Jessica Havoc versus Josh Alexander for the X Division title. And this was just another fantastic work from Josh Alexander, showcasing how good Black Taurus actually is, because he's lost a lot of momentum over the past few months, sadly, because Decay's has fallen short of winning the tag titles, and he's had a shot at the X Division title in the past and fallen short. But it's not made him look bad. It's just the hype he had when he came to face Triple XL and Tennille Dashwood. That slowly started to fizzle away now. So this match with Josh Alexander, when it was set up last week, was awesome in itself, but to actually see it play out from start to finish, we got some amazing offense from both of them. Black Taurus even lost a horn off of his mask, so they were just bashing each other so hard and flying all over the place. Josh Alexander hitting moonsaults. Josh Alexander hitting a steamroller off of the second rope from the turnbuckle, similar to what Finley would do. Don't you guys remember Finley from WWF, WWE?
And
Great,
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. So we got a lot of really entertaining, hard-hitting offense there, and eventually Josh Alexander will obviously emerge victorious to carry the X Division title forward. But like I said, it was an amazing showcase for both wrestlers in general, and especially Black Taurus losing it didn't damage him at all. Instead of it damaging Black Taurus, it made him better, because we got to see just how good he actually is again after a very long time of thinking that maybe he might be going, maybe he might, the momentum's just gone with Black Taurus. He's just there as a +1 now. But this match proved us all wrong. And with Jessica Havoc on ringside now, it also cements the fact that Jessica Havoc is now part of Decay, because Rosemary, and not just because Rosemary and Havoc are the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. And we then move on to a brief promo from Deonna Purrazzo and Matt. Oh, I'm going to get his name wrong again. Matthew Raywald, obviously leading up to the final between Rosemary and Crazy Steve and Deonna Purrazzo and Matt Ray. Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to call him Matthew R. Matt R. and in one of the most entertaining matches by Deonna Purrazzo that I've seen in recently. Decay lost the match. We got a new homecoming king and queen from Deonna Purrazzo and Matthew Raywald. But a lot of Deonna Purrazzo's matches I've been I found really bland recently. Up until when she started to face off against Lady Frost and Thunder Rosa, the matches really started to get finally got interesting again from there. But prior to that, it started to get a bit repetitive with Deonna Purrazzo. Because she'd gone through the entire Knockouts roster, everything, so we knew how the matches were going to start and the matches were going to end. But these last few matches she had, and this whole tournament has shifted my opinion back over to I know if what Deonna Purrazzo was a bad wrestler. To say that would be stupid in itself. I just was waiting to see that spark to keep me intrigued and actually looking forward to seeing her in a match again. And this whole night, it brought out a really, really good side of Deonna Purrazzo. Her promo skills had gotten better throughout the entire night too. A lot more crisp, a lot more clearer, a lot more to the point. And it was just a great tournament. And I didn't expect Deonna Purrazzo to go to the finals, so I didn't expect her to be in the tournament. We didn't know she was in the tournament until Thursday, and we'd given all our predictions on Wednesday. So that in itself it was another surprise to me too. And I just enjoyed the whole tournament, and that of course carried us forward to the main event of Eddie Edwards versus W. Morrissey, and this was an absolute badass of a hardcore match. It was brutal. It wasn't necessarily bloody, but it didn't need to be. There was bruises everywhere, from kendo sticks, chair shots, stop signs, garbage cans, anything. Morrissey would go absolute flat out on Eddie Edwards, and Eddie Edwards being the heart and soul of Impact Wrestling, still managed to fight back and finally defeat W. Morrissey, ending his undefeated streak. But the way this whole match was played out, it was just so brilliant, and that it gelled the whole night together perfectly. And to pick a best match, really, I couldn't. I'm stuck between Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering versus Rosemary and Crazy Steve, Dean and Willie Mack, Josh Alexander, Eddie Edwards. No, yeah, Josh Alexander, Black Taurus. I'm reading off of a list, and so my mind's jumping from place to place. So please do bear with me. I'll try that again. To pick a match of the night, I really don't think I could. It's a 5-way draw between Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering versus Rosemary and Crazy Steve, Dina and Willie Mack, Josh Alexander and Black Taurus, Eddie Edwards and W. Morrissey, or the final that we had with Deonna Purrazzo and Matt Raywood versus Rosemary and Crazy Steve. The second half of the night just carried everything forward and elevated it to. It made it probably the most solid Impact Wrestling show of the entire year, which is, and that includes Slammiversary. So it's just worth checking out if you guys haven't seen it, and if you're not a fan of Impact Wrestling, then at least check this one out and see if it changes your opinion. I can close it there, really.
Yeah, overall, great for Impact.
It was a phenomenal show for Impact. I think one of my favorite parts about that show was during the final with Matt Raywald and Deonna versus Crazy Steve and Rosemary, was when Matt Raywald had Crazy Steve on the ground.
Yeah.
He grabs his ear and goes, "Van Gogh gave his ear. What do you think I'm willing to do?"
Yeah, and Crazy Steve just says, "I'll bite it off." Crazy Steve's trying to bite his ear off from the opening part of the match.
It was amazing.
it's great to see the fans really, really feeding off of everyone in the ring. I think that added to the whole night as well, obviously. But it was just the best night of Impact Wrestling throughout the entire year.
I'm definitely going to have to go back and give it a watch. Well, does anybody else have anything else to add to this week?
Not that I know. I don't have anything else. No.
I think that was
Alrighty.
an excellent closure.
Well, we want to thank you again, Wrestle Buddies, for joining us on our weekly podcast. I want to thank all of our hosts today. I'm going to go down the line and give everybody a chance to, plug any admin where you guys can find them and everything. And, we're going to start off with Harold.
Hey, it's me. It's TRC. Thanks for tuning in. You can find me at WrestleBuddy.com or on my own personal Twitter at the RevCupid61. Peace and love. Pass it on. Keep rocking. And I pass it on to Joe.
You can find me on Twitter at JOKEmptySpace. You can find me on WrestleBuddy, or you can jump onto Facebook and look for #EmptySpace, #TheVoid, or if you want to challenge your sanity, #DailyGiggle, and step into the void. Test your willpower and acceptance of ill humor. And I'll pass you on to Griffin.
Yes, I've been Griffin. You can find me on Twitter at GriffinK1 or on Instagram at GriffinK.
And I've been Matty Laws with WrestleBuddy.com. I want to thank you guys all. You guys can find me at WrestleBuddy.com, where we all write articles. You can find me on Twitter at Matthew_Laws_. And once again, thank you guys for joining us. And without further ado, bye!
This is the part we wave.